I've been busy checking out the new features in ECO version 10, and there's one very small feature that almost passed completely under the radar. But it might be one of the most important features they've introduced, because it will change how almost everyone has previously traded resources. With ECO version 10 came the long-awaited feature of boats. And even though I'm starting out talking about boats, it's not the focus of this video, at least not directly. Everyone was excited about having boats, and in many ways they exceeded expectations. Way back when they first talked about including boats, we thought we'd get maybe 2 or 3 sizes and variants, something kind of similar to the vehicles where we have powered carts, steam trucks, and regular trucks. But what they gave with boats is currently 6 different boat sizes, types, and capabilities. It's very cool, and I'll be doing a more in-depth rundown on each of the boats in later videos. But what I want to talk about right now is exactly how useful boats will be in the game. The makers of ECO had no sooner started giving out details about the different boats and their functions than folks started to talk about how they'd be mostly irrelevant. Everyone said there'd be no reason to use a boat to cross water. Even with the largest boats capable of transporting whole vehicles like trucks, folks couldn't see why a player would go through the tedium and time of driving a truck onto a boat, piloting the boat over open water, then getting back into the truck to continue their transport. Why do that when you can just build a traditional and faster bridge? And they were right. On the DadSpeed server I play on, there was already plans to create a district down the middle of all oceans that prevented building. This would hamper the creation of bridges and route people to the use of boats to cross water. Now though, we don't have to. First announced in a December newsletter as part of the default game, they introduced a couple new functions to the Deep Ocean Biome, and building is automatically prevented on these deep ocean areas. At least that's what they said. I like to always test things out for myself. This was great news for the shipwright skill on servers and made boat use almost a necessity for accessing other biomes and products. I say almost because there is an exception here, I believe. I tested out this default restriction, and sure enough, I was unable to place a block when I started to encroach on the deep ocean biome. So this singular game feature essentially saved boats from a life of obscurity, only to be used by people who are just looking for some different mode of transportation. But this wasn't the end of the deep biome use. Swimming across the ocean is also now very difficult. As soon as you hit that deep ocean area, calorie expenditure goes up dramatically, and you'll likely wind up passing out and respawning back on the closest piece of land. It might be possible to swim across the deep ocean, just very difficult. Swimming close to shore seems fairly normal, but it'll gobble up 150 calories every second if you cross the ocean. It feels like you move a little slower, and to make it even more difficult, the game doesn't let you eat while you're in the water. So you were thinking you'd just pack a big lunch for your ocean crossing. It's not happening.
Always with you, what cannot be done.
This is actually another important game feature. I already just talked about trucks and transportation, but not being able to swim makes any early game water traversal have to rely on boats. Fortunately, the small canoe is available right there on the workbench for anyone to create, so you don't have to worry about being completely stuck on an island somewhere without a boat. Now, the small canoe is great for moving yourself around, and it does have a little bit of storage on board, but the storage is minimal, so you're not going to be using this small canoe for a lot of transport activity. The next best thing is the large canoe, and I absolutely love this vessel. It has a good amount of storage and is equal to the capacity of the large wooden cart. This allows you to cross these deep oceans with a canoe full of goods and a wooden cart in your backpack, land on a foreign shore, and transfer your logs, bricks, or whatever on for the rest of your journey. For comparative purposes, the large canoe can carry 210 logs, and I've been using it to cross to the other side of the ocean to the jungle forest, where hardwood ceiba trees are thick and plentiful, and using the canoe for some serious ocean transport. The boats only get bigger and more capable from there, but you're not completely barred, I don't think, from being able to drive a truck from one continent to the other. Being prevented from placing or building anything in the deep ocean biome doesn't necessarily mean you couldn't dig or tunnel your way under the ocean. Now, this would take a bit of planning and would have some risk to not accidentally breach your under-ocean tunnel into the watery deep. A breach could potentially cause a player to abandon the tunnel project. You wouldn't be able to place any blocks to close off the breach, or place blocks to displace the water in your deep ocean tunnel. Also, and I haven't been able to test this, I've heard that trucks and vehicles in general will no longer be able to operate underwater, actually in the water, like they used to. Even though I applaud the adherence to realism, I must admit that using my skid steer underwater in the ocean floor was a very cool experience, so I'll miss it. But tunneling completely under the ocean floor next to the world's bedrock should be okay, as long as there's a layer of rock or sand over your head. You wouldn't be able to line the tunnel with any decorative or functional blocks in the deep ocean area, so travel would be slowed on the bare rock. But if you put all those risks and drawbacks aside, a tunnel under the ocean would be a very cool world project. It would be a lot more involved than just flapping down blocks over the ocean to make a bridge. Now, bear in mind, I haven't actually tried this under deep ocean tunnel in version 10, or tested to see if I could mine a block or dig sand. Mainly because the high calorie cost of trying to swim and stay submerged in the deep ocean hasn't really made that easy, but I will try at some point. Assuming a below ocean tunnel is possible, tunnels like that probably won't be going everywhere with convenient connections, especially on a large world. And at that point, either loading your truck onto a transport barge or transporting your goods onto a boat for delivery might actually make more sense. In prior dad speed seasons, I tried to set up a kind of transporter role, and it worked okay. But now with boats, I'm formulating a whole new world of possibilities. I just need to see what the new ECO version 10 makes possible. I did test the traversal from ocean to river, and even though there were no problems with the actual transition, larger waterfalls definitely created an impasse, while smaller rises could be overcome with a little hard paddling. I mention this because it's another possible idea for a water traversal world project for the community. The aqueduct brick might could be used to create a kind of lock system, smoothing out the rises in the river height into traversable one-block increments. Again, something I haven't tested directly using aqueduct blocks, but it seems reasonable if there's enough water depth. Deep oceans and what they mean were a perfect addition along with the boats, and I can't wait to progress farther in the shipwright profession to the bigger and better boats. But that may have to wait until a full live version of Dad Speed opens for its first season of ECO version 10. So far, the Dad Speed community has been testing and looking into what's needed to support several months of an epic run of version 10. And you can join that mayhem at a date to be announced by getting your own free copy of ECO with my giveaway. All you have to do is use the key phrase Deep Ocean in a comment in this video to win a random drawing I'll do at the end of the month of January. Subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into ECO version 10 gameplay as well as other game coverage, and I'll be talking to you later.